I was really reluctant to change the green paddle for a bunch of reasons. I'll show you why. So, I'm lucky that my favourite artist is my dad. My dad painted this in 1982. I was a little wee snapper. He's painted about 2,000 paintings in his life, and 2/3 of them sold. So there's about 600 odd paintings in his studio, all archived away. They're typically the kind of paintings that don't resonate immediately with people. They're not instantly appealing. But he would never, ever in his life go back and retouch up the painting. He wouldn't take paint to something that's been signed. What he will do though, when someone walks in and they like the look of this painting, is he will reframe it. So when someone wanders in and says, "Gary, I like your painting, but the frame is very 1982. You'd say, right, I will just put a mount on it and a gold frame or a no frame or whatever, and as you wish. It changes the picture. It instantly changes what the image is. So it reframes it. And so Mr. Mitch behind the camera has done exactly that to the green paddle. It's about half an hour long now. It's taken out 20 minutes of, I suppose, fluff. Still got the same essence of what it was, but it's reframed for a modern audience on YouTube. It's called the green paddle, by the way. Got confused an awful lot with the Green Mile, and people thought I was trying to be Tom Hanks. But it's to do with my naive state. I had very little sea kayaking experience. I could barely roll. I didn't know how to read tides. I didn't really know how to read the weather. And in many respects, I didn't know how to read the sea. So that was the green paddle. I was naive. I went out as this kid, really. It was 15 years ago. Enjoy it, and yeah, this is my first feature film.
Taking Australia for granted has always come easy. You forget the beauty of a place as a local, and for a young Australian it's not the same as jumping on a plane to go and stab your flag in a pub or a mountainside somewhere. The colonial days still alive and well, so it seems. I've always been outdoorsy, lack of showers and funky coloured clothes. It was about the friendships too, often as big as the places themselves.
And I think there's been about 18 or 20 people summit this weekend, which is one of the biggest. Speechless.
I've always ended up around mountains and rivers, but I'd always thought, unlike the seas, land was a bit more predictable, more stable. For the first time in years, I didn't want to jump on a plane. I wanted to reinvent my idea of home, of Oz, and it basically just meant I needed to see more of it. The trip, no doubt, was a great idea, paddling solo around 3 island chains off Australia's southern coast, spending a few months in the Noits, the Banks and the Recherche archipelagos in the Great Aussie Bight. Some components I knew were a certainty, myself, a kayak, Australia, and a whole heap of islands. Just go for a paddle, I thought. Don't be stupid, see what happens, don't die. Simple.
Right, timing, mate. Look at that. See you, buddy. Is that the worst looking cup of coffee you've ever seen? I was in a hurry. Righto. First trip down here, Spencer Gulf, South Australia. Head up the road to Ceduna. That's the Noits Archipelago. That should be a ripper. And then Recherche Archipelago after jumping in the car and zipping across the Nullarbor. Want another sugar? Hang on, let's go get one.
I made pizzas and chairs over the summer and pretended I was Italian in the garden, while my kayak waited patiently in the shed. Not too far off the journey itself. The main hatch is up the back here. These carry most of the stuff. This is the big hatch, and it's pretty epic to get undone, which is good because we don't want waves ripping it off. It smells like dirty socks. There she is. So that'll take the main gear. Put that back there. This is the day hatch, and yeah, it smells even worse, but little bits of foam and stuff that I'll keep in there. Some tang from the last trip. Righto. Here's the cockpit. I'll be spending a whole lot of time in there. This goes underneath my bum, and this stops my legs from going to sleep, and that took me about 3 months to figure out. Just a bit of foam. And that's my pillow at night too. Righto. Here's, this holds onto my main paddle, so if I lose that, here's the spare one, that's up the front. And under my elastics here go all my day bags, these little waterproof jobs. They hold my nuts and my spare, just spare things basically, things like film stock and camera and whatnot. The front hatch, obviously I can't get to that during the day or when I'm out there in the water. And here is the camera mount, which looks back towards me and films it all. But for the next 2 months, Salamander, I'm going to be spending more time in this than anywhere else. I think I'm pretty pumped. Yeah. The island in the direct view is the first island of the Sir Joseph Banks group. That's where I'm heading today. It's D-Day. And I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't quite nervous. Very nervous actually, especially after seeing an established kayak guru in Adelaide. He basically said, "You're mad. Snakes, wind, and sharks." Take cards. How much rope, how much pasta, how much. It's all about how much I take. I take too much, the boat's going to be overloaded. I take too little, I don't leave myself any room for error. You have a bust. I'm 2 minutes from leaving. Yeah. And my main water bladder is stuffed. It's either that or the tap was turned on. Let's see what it was. The tap was on. Lesson number 1, turn the tap off. The previous day's paddle went without a hitch. It surprised me really. I don't even think I drank for the entire day. I was so charged. It was perfect paddling, a dream start. After a severely hot few days, well over 40 degrees, the barometric pressure had taken a dive. You can almost feel it in your ears, the pressure drop. It was now just a case of waiting for the inevitable, the change.
Holy mackerel. I don't know whether you can hear me at all. I don't know, 30, 40 knots. Out here in the elements on the beach. I mean, I could be in the dunes and much more protected. I've got nothing to complain about. I'm just worried about my gear. I think it'll all be okay. It's about, what was it, 4:30 in the morning. I woke up with lightning and my kayak bobbing around in the water on the shore, and of course it was one of the tethers to my tarp. I've sought refuge here in the old homestead. It smells like rat piss and bird droppings. You could really have a horrible night in here if your head played tricks on you.
I spent the next few days waiting out the storm. Now, the Banks group were named after towns and landmarks of Lancashire and England, which at the time seemed like a bit of an absurdity. These ancient looking places in the middle of a gulf with grassy green English names attached to them. And I think in some degree I thought I had something in common with these places, these islands. Not really a sea kayaker yet, I didn't really belong out there, I didn't really deserve it. You could almost count the days I'd spent in open sea on my fingers. It was just 18 kilometres to the next island I'd spend the night on, and without even knowing it, this would be my biggest test today, this an easy day made hard. Basically, I hadn't had enough time at sea.
This is a bit of a fallacy, putting a wet hand into a dry bag. That's alright. And more so, putting a salty hand into dates and almonds. Have a bit of a sip. Sibsey Island is no longer in my horizon. I'm just staring into a big old open sea. Can't see any landmass. Pretty serious business. You can't lose concentration for too long. I don't know whether another front's coming. Rain definitely is. It's spitting now. There's a big wall of water coming towards me. See them all swimming below me. Thinking, what the hell's this yellow thing? I've had one of the worst days in my kayak career. It was reasonably choppy, but it was just, I don't know whether they're annoyed or just curious or what. Time I leave anyway. The smell. Here's Sibsey Island. After a bit of an epic day in the saddle. I'm buggered. I want to get out of this kayak. That's where I'm heading tomorrow. Just left of the sun.
I didn't take the previous day's paddle seriously enough, or more accurately, I was taking myself too seriously. 18 kilometres, I thought, no worries, but mixed with swell and nausea and a headwind, it took most of the day, and quite simply, it shouldn't have. Well, I had to paddle twice that today, and I'd do it with a swollen, burnt tongue. Now, patient so it seems I'd left on the mainland with Rob.
I just realised how stupid I can be sometimes. I've just loaded the boat. Beautiful pack job. I'm on fire this morning as far as gear goes. And the tide's right out. So I've got a fully heavy boat. And I'm 15 metres over very, very rocky ground to the water. This is not recommended for any boat. It can take a nasty groove out and work its way into a hole. Kayak's riding superbly. That's what I don't want to have to contend with all day. I'm putting that down to the fact that I'm close to the coast. I haven't seen a shark yet. Bird's checking me out. I look forward to the moment when I can put my right foot on the rudder, or at least press it, and head into Cape Donington, which is still on my right at about 45 degrees. spectacular coastline we've seen so far, if not the most. Coffin Bay National Park. It's brilliant conditions, there's no wind at all. And oh man, I've got itchy feet. I want to get out to these islands out here, but like these cliffs, you virtually can't land on them. Super low tide perhaps, but yeah, they're just big rocky cliffy shorelines. So impressive. I have UHF radio, EPIRB, GPS, spare compass, spare paddle, heaps of water. Where I'm heading, St Francis, is about 55 kilometres from Ceduna, which is just around the corner, and that's where I'll be headed, so my biggest one yet. We've got 3 perfect days of weather, which we've been waiting around for, so I've got a nice window of opportunity. It's just when I'm coming back, that's when it's getting a bit dicey, because the big low pressure system, so says the Bureau of Meteorology, is hitting hard Wednesday-ish right through for a week, big low pressure system. All right, I'm off.
Well, I got the afternoon wind. It blew its head off. That famous afternoon Ceduna wind that you could almost set your clock by. It was in my face for hours, and to be honest, it was the best thing that could have happened. I'd just spent a week with the locals, and there seemed to be a few themes repeat themselves. Well, the wind, there was always the wind, but stories of shark attacks. There's something about infamous shark waters that give you the heebies, and I'll admit I was paranoid.
You know the shark situation around here. Yeah, well, we've had, like along this coast here, there's been a number of fatalities in the last 18 months.
The only thing they found there was a mauled up life jacket.
It was refreshing being out of contact with Ceduna, and I was back on my own again. It was now just a case of landing on Evans Island. Now these rocks, you could only do this sort of trip in a plastic boat, and they were the sort of big elephant hide rocks, massive big grey things. 1 second you could see them and the next you couldn't. So I'd wait out the back and then wait for the window and then just paddle like stink to get in. It was really good fun actually, it was a massive hoot, and this I thought, this is what I'm here for. This is the fun bit, you get out and you look around, you meet the locals. It was why I was there.
I lost Wilson.
Totally in the groove. I'm having an awesome trip. Everything's going to plan, making good kilometres. The sea's been good to me. The wind wasn't too bad, all this local talk. Now I'm downloading my kayak down next to the water, way too close, like the fishermen trying to get an extra few yards in their cast. And I mean, the most dangerous thing in Australia is rock fishing, right? Well, I get washed in.
I was holding onto the kayak and we're being thrown around in the sort of washing machine just off the rocks. At one stage, I was underneath the kayak. It was totally upside down. Thinking, holy shit, what do I do?
I make 2 swims out. I'd been meshed up against the rocks and was bleeding a fair bit by now, so getting a bit paranoid. I remember being out there and I've looked back to my kayak, which was bent up in the rock somewhere, thinking, Beau, you just stuffed it up. man. You just stuffed your trip up.
Oh, I'm bleeding everywhere. All I gotta do is get off this rock, because if we have another one of those waves hit, I'm not high enough here. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah!
I ain't gonna go to Point James now. It's too much of an open sea. Just getting back to safe St. Peter's for now, which when I get on the lee side of that, home stretch.
All right. Just trusting plastic to take the stuff is so sharp. That's it. What an episode. Legs are stinging, elbows stinging, stinging all over. Energy, well, that's yet to be seen how much of that I got. Just those swims alone. Goat Island, where I'm heading now, is where that guy got taken just over a year ago. And here I am swimming with bleeding from about 4 bits of the body, retrieving these things. It's all my error too. No excuse. Alright, now this, I guarantee you, will be a pretty quick crossing. Man, their fins look like, you know what, still not 100%. Seen plenty of dolphin fins before. No, they're dolphins. Ooh, ha! They're right there! Well, I'll take it as my mascot any day. But here's the great Aussie bite. Pretty specky. I'm contemplating, if it did start to fall this bit I'm on, there's a couple of gents up here. Rob's gonna come save me. He's gonna jump in after me, paddle my kayak to me, fix my broken legs and arms. Yeah, good luck. But the great Aussie bite, just amazing. The most spectacular view so far. It just keeps getting better. I'm out of here.
It was the driest summer on record in Australia in my lifetime. You may be bobbing around in the largest water body in the world, but you still crave the rain. The way I thought of it, the lack of rain meant lack of bad weather, and it worried me that the last paddle might bring more than just getting washed off a rock. The nullarbor and Rob looking for snakes, it all made for a great distraction, but as we drove towards the last paddle, fooling around didn't hide the fact that I was still worried about the Southern Ocean.
water a week now. I'm feeling pretty sick. Seasick. Changed my plan. I'm going further today, which is probably not the best idea, but here's the big impressive black island behind right now. My first island of the Recherche archipelago off Esperance in south of Western Australia. I'm heading towards Thomas Island, which is further out than Woody Island, but it seems to have a nicer bay. The weather's going to get ugly, apparently, in the next few days. The charts don't look good at all. So this looks like a nice spot to, if I've got to spend a day or perhaps even two, that'll be it. I'm still feeling green. Bloody hell. Over here might be my best shot. Though I can brace myself with my arms and my paddle, and it really means nothing. It's just waves are so strong compared to... I've just paddled for 3 hours. My strength is nothing in comparison. This is good. This is going to raise me up again. Put me in a... not a good. For the time being I'm happy, but still just don't like these rock landings. Still, here I am. Thomas Island. Time to explore. It's quite a biggie. A couple of K in length, about 1 kilometre wide. Looks like a human does, a dead human when they're fallen from a 10-story building. They've got a chalk outline around them. That's what Thomas Island looks like. The weather has turned. Anything between 25 even knots, gusting to 30. But I'm in the most protected place on the island and I'm still copping wind. The launch, I'd be too scared about the launch. Been here since Friday, about 4 o'clock I landed. This was set up by about 5 o'clock. It's now just past 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Saturday, I basically didn't move from in there. 2 thunderstorms, big belts of rain, just didn't let up. But great spot.
To be blatantly honest, I was cross at myself. I was getting angry that I'd left to try and outrun this storm. But I had a couple of days up my sleeve and I sorted it out. The rains came and went. And I thought the storm had come and gone, so I wanted to get around Cape LeGrand, and off I went.
Well, it seems I've missed my window of opportunity. I'm heading straight into the wind, and it's big swell.
Other than the mosquitoes, the evenings are the nicest, so I'm looking forward to now. Now time's great. Can think of all sorts of great things and not have to worry about paddling. I get up in the morning, I see what the weather's like, and I go from there. Bit of a day to reflect on. Biggest season I've ever been in before.
Well, thunder's everywhere. The rain is kind of steady. Still haven't got much wind. It's really eerie. In front of me is this big silk black blanket, but with these dots all over it. Tiny little pinpricks, raindrops.
I'm still running scared a bit. I just don't know how bad it will get.
I just can't rely on the weather. I don't know whether I can rely on myself to get there. It's just a bit of an epic. It was honestly the most stupid thing I've ever done going out today.
Gotta concentrate here, it's getting pretty rough. Gotta really pay attention. I'm just gonna get tough.
Who would know what would happen if I stuffed up? Puts it in perspective. And it is the Southern Ocean, I can't deny it of that. And it's getting towards winter. It's a turbulent time for the weather, but there's only so much time I can allow. Big learning day today anyway. I've got to be more patient.
I'm shaking all over my legs. Caution! I'm gonna kick that sound when I get there. Yes! Yes!
The seas are too big. Yesterday I promised myself I wouldn't go out in them again, and I did. I don't want to risk my life like that. Being on my own, it's just too much at stake. But I've still got to get to Duke. It's day 6. I've got a few more days up my sleeve. Having left my kayak, I walked for 3 days along the coast, arriving at Duke of Orleans Bay a day before Rob would set off alarm bells and send out a search party. I'd come far enough. Dirt tan, 10 kilos lighter, I was ready for a cold beer and a good chat. Just go for a paddle, I thought. See what happens, don't die. Simple.